Okay, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's get started with the sessions. Well, as I promised, we are going to be having 85 plus speakers, as it's going to be a very knowledgeable and insightful session for all of us. And now, without further ado, quickly, let's move on and begin with the first plenary session of the day, which is on India's digital payment revolution. National intervention, architecture, and efforts for scalable and secure payment ecosystem. We have with us an electric line of speakers with us who will be deliberating on the topic. So please help me in welcoming Mr. Srinivasa Rao Muppaneni, Group CIO, Telangana State Cooperative, Dr. Sriram Biruduvalu, CEO, Cyber Security Center of Excellence, Mr. G.T. Venkateshwar Rao, IRS Commissioner, Electronic Service Delivery and Managing Director of Telangana State Technology Service, and Ms. Sujatha Mohan, Head-BTG Retail, HDFC Bank. But kindly note all the participants for the speakers will be in listen mode only. So please use the questions featured on the right-hand side of your window to ask questions throughout the session. And now may I request the speakers to spare some time at the end for a quick Q&A session. So over to the speakers, please. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be having Dr. Sriram, who will join us quickly in a minute. But meantime, as I said, for you who are clicking pictures and videos, please do not forget to use the hashtag, which is hashtag FINSEC2022. I am definitely going to be taking all the pictures and mentioning the hashtag. So when I use the hashtag FINSEC2022, I want all of you guys to upload all the videos. And let the world know that we have celebrated this amazing. Over to you,
Sure.
sir.
Sure. Thank you very much, Navyada, for that excellent introduction. And I welcome this high-powered panel, I should say. Really very happy to have you all here. And we are going to discuss India's digital payment landscape. And the topic of today's session is India's digital payment revolution, national intervention, architecture and efforts for scalable and secure payment ecosystem. So, first of all, what is India's digital payment landscape? So we have several parts to it: the UPI transactions, the POS terminals, point of sale terminals, the RTGS, the NetC FASTag, then the Bharat Quick Response Codes, VQR codes, and prepaid instruments, prepaid payment instruments, PPIS, and IMPS, which is immediate payment services, and also the card payments which are there. And of late, the big, I should say, the 500-pound gorilla in the room is the UPI, which is NPCI's UPI payment platform. And currently, India's digital payments constitute 40% of the global payments and 40 billion digital transactions in FY21, crossing $1 trillion. So obviously, needless to say, these facts speak for themselves, and India's digital payments ecosystem has expanded vastly lately. So the first question I have for our esteemed speakers and panels, that what have been the key drivers for the accelerated adoption of digital payments? So I would first start with Mr. G.T. Venkateshwar Rao, who has been instrumental in setting up T-Wallet, Telangana's wallet, and also been instrumental for TSTS and e-Seva. So what has been your experience, sir?
Thank you, Dr. Sriram, and thank you, DSCI, and greetings to all fellow panelists. So, as Dr. Sriram has said, uh, uh, see, my perspective will be more from a state government's perspective, how we can use this, digital payment system. So that my focus would be on that. So, the more and more payments that are coming to the state governments, let's say, for example, all kinds of state taxes, the stamp duty, sales tax, state excise, mines payments, etc. In the last few years, the increasingly government has been focusing on enabling these through more and more digital means, and that's has been much more, in the last few years compared to the, let's say, maybe earlier, and the earlier, it was all through one financial institution payments, etc. But now state government is encouraging to route it through more and more financial institutions, and increasingly the state government payments are, the latest digital instruments like wallets, UPI, POS payments, etc. are also being accepted, which is a very welcome step. Of course, the coverage and the quantum needs to be increased, and I'm sure this would really take off now. And I think, see, all this is driven by one fundamental change in the perception of governments, I think, across the country, both center and the state. See, earlier, I think, the convenience of the citizen for payment perhaps was not center, that was not at the center of the government. Like, for example, government says, this is the amount that a citizen or a business needs to pay, and therefore, we are not really bothered how he pays. They would have a system where there is some challan, and you have to go to a specific bank, specific branch, and pay. So the convenience of the citizen perhaps was not there, but the big differentiator that in the last, let's say, few years is that now the government feels that the citizen convenient and enabling the citizen to make payments anytime, anywhere, and 24 by 7 by 365. I think this is perhaps the single most important reason why the digital payments, particularly related to government transactions, has increased significantly. So, for example, earlier, simple, suppose if there was a, let's say, some state excise duty, or let's say some state transport department payment, you could only pay in one particular bank, which works only, during office hours through a paper challan. Whereas now it's moved online, it's through a payment gateway. So therefore, it's a 24 by 7 by 365. So the real, and I think, all of us, if I think some of you might have been paying income tax, perhaps, but if you see how the income tax payment was there, let us say 15 years ago and today, you will see it's a complete change. Earlier, you could have never paid any payment on a Saturday or a Sunday, but today it's 24 by 7 by 365. So I think the the perception and change in the perception of the government that the convenience of the citizen to make the payment should be at the center of all payments is perhaps what has brought a significant change in the government enabling additional payment systems and changing its systems to suit the I think the payments systems. So I think let me close with this, and I think allow others to speak. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, thank you very much for bringing in these perspectives, Venkateshwar Rao garu. So now I would like to hand over to Sujatha Mohan, who's the head of BTG Retail HDFC Bank. I would like to hear from you.
Yeah, good morning, my fellow panelists and the audience. It's a pleasure to be here. When you look back at what has been happening in the industry when it comes to payments, there are, I would say, many drivers that have changed the way the digital payments has ballooned in India. As I see it, I think I would, bundle all of them into three factors. One is we have a very vibrant and innovative startup and a fintech ecosystem. So, which and if you go back to this 2015 time frame, that's the time at which this entire innovation landscape using uh, wallets and then QR code and then UPI, all of that started in a big way. Now, what has also helped is a very, very definitive government push for a digital economy. And when we say government push, it encompasses many different things, right? One is the fact that as early as 2016-17, there was a push for enough amount of bank accounts to be opened so that we definitively push down the cash economy. Not that cash economy has come down very much, but overall payment numbers have ballooned in a very big way. The other piece is that there are a lot of uh, push that the government has taken by saying, okay, all the benefits that will come will directly come to a bank account. Customers will have to use that to withdraw payments. Aadhaar-enabled payments was brought in. Onboarding of customers into the banking channel has been, amazingly improved because of the existence of Aadhaar as a KYC proposition and so on. So this is a second piece, the fact that the ecosystem is getting robustly built on the back of the fact that we need to bring a digital economy in. And last but not the least, I think COVID kind of pushed all of us hurtling into digital payments, because suddenly, human to human contact reduced. Everything had to be done online. Offices went online. You had to purchase anything, it went online. Even the smallest player had to start accepting online payments. So I think some of these have driven the big change, right? And as Dr. Srinivasa said, UPI has been the cornerstone of this entire growth. Because if you ask me, the smallest amount of payments, and we did an analysis recently, and we figured out that almost about 30 to 40% of our UPI transactions is for very, very small amounts of 20 rupees, 30 rupees, and so on and so forth. On the back of which recently NPCI launched UPI Lite, because suddenly it became important to find a way to manage those large volumes so that it doesn't keep hitting the core banking systems and so on. That's the kind of growth we are seeing, and that's the kind of tech changes we are seeing. The other piece is that we are, as we study the kind of distribution of payments, we are seeing that the tier 2 and tier 3 cities, on the have started adopting a very high amount of digital transactions. I mean, if you look at RBI records, it kind of indicates that almost 45% of growth in tier 2 and about 54% growth in tier 3 cities in terms of payments using digital modes. And I feel that this comes from the fact that this whole GPay construct has become ubiquitous, right? GPay kar do, it's become like a how do you call that? It's become like a verb. Nobody thinks of it like a product. It is as simple as that, GPay kar do, and small big transactions are going in that direction. The other big thrust which I see is the fact that suddenly you have these big techs who are seeing a value in this large revenue pool that exists. So they are coming and investing. So you see GPay, Amazon Pay. The only other Indian big tech that is really playing a big role is Phone Pay. They pretty much captured the entire retail payment segment, right? If you go and see, you go to phone pay, you can do credit card payments, you can do bill payments, you can do person to person transfer, you can purchase goods. There are a lot of tie-ups they have done. So suddenly the whole mind space of a customer from a payment perspective is getting captured by these kind of apps. So I mean, I would say that it is a multi enabled structure. The fact that NPCI has been growing the platform strategy big time, and the adoptions from fintechs and big techs and banks has kind of pushed, and consumer interest in enabling themselves to use less cash is also increasing. So I would say these are the things that's really driving the Indian payment ecosystem, as I can see it. I'll park here from my perspective.
Sure. Thank you very much, Sujatha. Really, you outlined in a nutshell all the key points which are there, which namely the fintech part and all the Jandan, Aadhaar, Seva, all these ecosystem that has been built, plus the push that has come for the digital payments through the needs, whether it be pandemic or be it the distances also, which have made the need so much acute that people need to switch to that. Okay. So I'd like to hear from Srinivasa Muppaneni about this and what has been his experience, because he's handling a cluster of rural and cooperative banks all across the state. Hello, sir. You can start. Yeah. You're on mute, please.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thanks, Mr. Sriram, for giving this opportunity among the stalwarts who are here. In fact, our digital payment ecosystem in the country is revolving around the consumer. And what kind of consumers we have, what kind of users we have here, that depends on that. And again, the merchants who are accepting the transactions and the banks who are acquiring these transactions and the banks which are issuing the cards and also the accounts. So here, linking all these, there are networks like Visa, MasterCard or NPCI. And again, RBI is coming out with competitors for NPCI also. So they already started identifying some of the other competitors who can work parallelly along with NPCI. So government and regulators are coming out with various options, pushing the customers one side and also the service providers who are providing these services. See, for example, when we are coming with the NPCI has a plethora of services which they have started with NFS, then IMPS, UPI, QR-based payments. And for reduction of the physical transactions, they have introduced these CTS, NACH, ACH. Again, it came out with AEPS, which is I can say, AEPS, which has become the most popular among all the other payment channels, particularly in the rural areas where the government is pushing the DBT. Through DBT, the payments nowadays, what has become is because of the cyber frauds and cyber threats. The biometric identification has become prevalent across the rural areas. So this is one of the big thrust, and as Madam rightly told, COVID also has given a lot of thrust to the increase of the digital transactions in our country. So when coming to this from consumer side, consumer actually is doing all kinds of transactions through most of the digital channels. When you see in 2015, we have around 125 million, 1250 million phone users, people in the country. Among them, around 100 crore people have the mobile phones. Now, when come to 2020, 1200 million, it means 120 crore people have the mobile phones. And 65 crore people have the internet connectivity, either through smartphone or directly internet. So there, people are increasingly using these digital channels, and more particularly the Gen Z. Gen Z has become almost 100% mobile users, and they have started. They born in this digital technology, and they doesn't want to go to the banking institutions for their transactions, or even for opening of the accounts. Now, digital onboarding of the customer, digital lending. So this kind of ecosystem has been developed by various agencies, particularly as Madam rightly mentioned, the fintechs. Fintechs have helped a lot in building this complete ecosystem and increasing the digital. This is from, I'll pause here for the paucity of the time. Thank you, sister.
Yes. Actually, thanks for again bringing out all of these points and highlight how important digital payments have become and the push that the government is making. So I would move on to the other thing about innovation and experimentation in this realm, because banks and financial services organizations have been rapidly progressing on the path where they are offering extensively all their offerings around digital payments, and fintech has become a major force. There are so many companies, and they're being adopted by large companies, small companies, startups, and also by the GCCs as well as the Indian organizations, in fact. So I would like to know more about this, hear more about this from you, because you have everything ranging from what the government has done, the RBI's regulatory sandbox to help in this regard, to their push in various fronts from the regulatory front also. So, for example, the union budget schemes to boost digital payments, to the PIDF, Payments Infrastructure Development Scheme, subsidized costs for the undeserved areas, to digital Apnaya campaigns, to the digital payment security controls direction proposed by RBI, to the digital Jagriti campaign on awareness and all this. They are doing their bit to push. But how is this innovation faring? And how are we, that is, what's the industry's future outlook for innovation and experimentation in this realm? I would again start with Mr. G.T. Venkateshwar. You're on mute, sir.
Thank you. So I think let me focus on one, I would say, very innovation what Telangana government has done. Generally Telangana state is known for its, trying new things in governance, improving governance, both citizen convenience point of view as well as improving the processes within the government. So, in I think 2016, 17, we were thinking that, can we have our own wallet, particularly bi-directional concept? Because, though there are lots of private wallets which are doing very well, government may not be very, uh, say, may not be able to transfer monies directly into those wallets. So we have built what is called a T wallet. It's I think as of now the only state-owned wallet which is operated. We are doing it since 2017. The whole idea of the T-wallet is that it's a bidirectional transfer in the sense, particularly where some government has to make some payments to the citizens. Of course, DBT is one route, by the direct bank transfer is one route, but there are some limitations have been found in those things. For example, if the bank account is not active for 3-4 months, then there is an issue. And then in case of DBT, sometimes the linked account becomes little bit inactive. So, and then we also found that, one or two cases where there is a specific, that the payment has to be used for a specific cause or reason. For example, scholarships. The government wants to give scholarship, but of the scholarship, a portion is to be paid as fee and a portion is to be for the students. Now, earlier, whole thing was going to the college and the colleges were not giving properly, and bank accounts somehow the students were, so there were these challenges. So therefore, we had come out and with a bidirectional transfer. So where the government is able to send to the wallet. Of course, the convenience of the wallet, we have added one more dimension, which is again a very unique. As of now, the wallet system in the entire country is closed loop. What they call is, you can either make a payment or transfer to a bank, but you cannot withdraw the amount from a wallet. This is not available in any of the wallets. So one of the requirements, when we were designing was that the student, if you are giving what is belongs to him only in the wallet, and again, if you expect them to transfer to a bank account, the whole purpose is not really solved. So we have approached RBI, and RBI was gracious enough. And T-Wallet is the first wallet in the country where the amount can be withdrawn, through biometric authentication across our 4,500 MiSeva centers. So what it effectively means is that now the wallet, a T-Wallet can be used either to make a payment or to transfer to the bank or even to withdraw the cash. So to this extent, I think, it's very unique and, first of its kind. Though we are, of course, government things move little slowly, but that we are able to do this and RBI has accepted this and allowed this is a big step. And just to give a brief snapshot of in terms of, like, annually we are doing about, let's say, around total transactions value worth about 5,000 crores. in the last, say, 2017 till date, we have handled about more than 20,000 crores to the platform. So, this is one very unique thing how governments are able to experiment, innovate, and with support of agencies like RBI is able to roll out those kind of instruments which are not available anywhere and which provides more convenience for the users and also some ease and specifically directed payments to the government organizations. So I think that's something very unique what we have done. And then, of course, in more and more government payment systems, we have encouraged the all the latest digital payments, including UPI. So many of the government payments of Telangana are now increasingly more and more are being added to accept all the payments. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Really thrilling to know that, and more power to these schemes. So they'll go a long way in reducing the digital divide, so that the common man also feels part of the whole digital revolution. So over now to Sujatha. So we'd like your take on this.
Yeah, so see, innovation is happening in multiple different areas, right? Like I would say that more and more form factors are getting added, and when we're talking about form factors, so a very good example, right? Like a wallet, which is a store value for money, right? It is being used to satisfy a whole lot of value-added services for a government customer, so to say, right? Similarly, if you go a little see what we are seeing in the payment industry is that a lot of the value chains are getting integrated. Now, giving an example, now the latest big thing happening in the industry is BNPL, okay, buy now, pay later. Buy now, pay later is like on the click, allowing a customer to be able to buy something and take a loan instantaneously and make a payment through a loan. Now, this has kind of completely turned the structure of the purchase experience itself on its head, right? Similarly, tap and pay. Tap and pay is a beautiful product. Today, you have a secure environment. Up to 5,000 rupees, you can just tap and pay. There is a lot of customer learning that needs to be done for some of these innovations to also seep in into the market. So one of the aspects that I used to talk before also is that there is a whole lot of products that we have introduced in the industry. Look at FASTag. Today, many of us are just able to zoom in through a toll gate without having to think. Okay, because the FASTag implementation has been done in such a nice manner now, and there are some riffraffs. Okay, and I think the place where further innovation needs to happen is what happens for a customer service when a FASTag doesn't work. I mean, I recently had an experience where the driver had loaded the FASTag. The loading process in a bank was a little slower, so his when he reached the toll gate, the money was not loaded in his wallet because he's done it. So there are innovations required so that banks are able to, as soon a person loads, do the recon, automatic recon, get the wallets loaded, so that your experience at the end, at the edge, is extremely improved. But if you really ask me, is the industry having all kinds of products that is required for an easy consumer life? It is there. And that is the reason there is a prediction, right, that we are going to become a 7,092 trillion economy for payments for financial year 2025. And that speed we are seeing, in every aspect. You look at the growth of any type of payment. If you just look at these statistics, including AEPS, we closed AEPS at 225 million transactions. On March 2022. You look at UPI, it is a stellar performance. And what does this all mean? There is innovation happening. The innovation is on the edge. And when the innovation is on the edge, people are able to utilize it and move ahead. And some of the apps that are getting created are so user friendly that people are able to consume it and move ahead as well. That said, we are also seeing a lot of wearable related payments, I think, is the next area of growth. The other area of growth which we are seeing is, and which I think will be the next big boom, is the international payments using the UPI rails, right? That is something that NPCI is pushing really hard. And I feel that that's one thing that is waiting to take off. So there is a lot of this money payments that used to happen using um, the cash channel, right? So you would have the account to cash model of payments coming from Gulf. You had the Gulf stream, you had the US India stream, and so on and so forth. Much of that is expected to be taken, revolutionized by the international payments using UPI. So I see that as the next big thing. Apart from the fact that BNPL is taken off, tap and go is a great experience, where instead of a card, a wearable will start possibly making a wearables have not done very well in the last 2-3 years, but maybe there is work that can be done to make it a exciting feature. So what I'm seeing is that there is multiple form factors, multiple payment rails, and each of them are buying with each other, and thereby giving a lot more options and customer experience, as I see it. Yeah.
Thank you very much, really, Sujatha. We are looking forward to more and more innovations in this space as technology also gives space. Of course, there will be technologies which will be constantly becoming, like NFCs, blockchain, behavioral biometrics, and of course CBDC, as we see it's around the corner, and also cryptos. Probably they'll make their way sometime or the other. And in this manner, we are hoping that the system will become very rich with innovations and can help everybody. Okay. So we'd like to hear from Srinivasa Muppaneni. Hello. Yeah. We can't hear you,
Yeah.
sir.
There are so many innovations happening in this space, and also government is also giving a lot of push in this area. The example for this is that because of the innovations, the ease of digital payments has been increased. Like anything, the fintechs who are more into the space of innovation, they have achieved the success. See, for example, you take in the entire UPI payments, digital payments, whatever happening, the phone pay stood first when compared to all other government banks or private banks who are very strong in these areas also. Phone pay, Google Pay, Paytm, and the fourth place it has come. The Beam has come in the fourth place. So the innovations definitely is leading the digital payment system in the country today, not only here, across the globe. So there, the government is also giving a lot of push, as you already mentioned, the PADF, and for the rural areas, NABARD has come out with a lot of financial support and also support for innovations in these areas. See, as far as our banks are concerned, we are planning to deploy handheld devices for the digital payments across 12,600 revenue villages in the state of Telangana. In fact, I wish to meet Dr. Venkateshwar Garu to integrate the government payments also through our ecosystem. Already NABARD has sanctioned the required financial grant also for us, and we are moving ahead in that area. So, in addition to that, innovations are really driving that. When compared to 2015 to 2020-21, you see the share of the Indian digital payments when compared to the world digital payments is gradually increasing, and as you rightly mentioned, UPI has become the largest volume of transactions across the globe also today. It has already crossed all the European countries, US, or most advanced in Singapore, and all the people also. But one area where we are still railing behind is that our population is so high. When compared to us, the Singapore and South Korea, those are the countries where per person per annum around 800 to 900 transactions are happening, cashless transactions. Whereas in India, it is only 18 transactions per head is happening. So this is one area where we have a lot of scope in development and innovation. So I'll pause here because of the paucity of time. In the next one, I will continue. Thank you.
Sure, very excited to really hear about all of these, and certainly these pack a punch the numbers, and also there's much need that needs to be done. As you had mentioned, GT Venkateshwar Garu, that is this 5,000 crores of transactions, and he's done 20,000 crores of transactions. And of course, Srinivasa had mentioned, Mr. Srinivasa had mentioned that a lot of integrations are required, and we want to get to that stage where 800 transactions and all happen rather than the current 80 transactions which are there. So there's much that needs to be done, which brings me to my next topic, which is around security. Safety, scalability, and security are the three key tenets of a robust digital payments ecosystem. If we could do a critical self-analysis when it comes to making progress on these three fronts, what would be your key set of recommendations for ensuring safe and secured adoption of digital payments throughout its life cycle, given the context as Lieutenant General Rajesh Pant had just mentioned, saying that the increase in cybercrime is about 500%. So we certainly don't want the whole digital story to wobble and topple, where people lose faith because they are losing money heavily, and the cybercrime police stations are filled with cybercrimes wherein they are unable to trace down. And with the accelerating technologies where we are going to go on adding AI, ML, and everything, it becomes harder and harder to track crimes because of the jurisdictions someone from another country may attack also, and the technologies that are increasing automation and digitalization and adding AI. So, with these, I would again like to turn to Mr. GT Venkateshwar Rao on how we are measuring up, or how do we stack up on these three key tenets: safety, scalability, and security.
I think as far as the safety and security is concerned, I think all either in the government or in the the corporate sector, uh, obviously it has to be investments have to be made in setting up the systems. So, for example, again, at the cost of repetition, let me say Telangana is one of those states, where all applications are hosted in state data center, and then we have a dedicated TSOC, what we call Security Operations Center, with fairly latest SIEM tools. I think there are only 3 or 4 states in the country which have implemented this. So not only for the payment, but the fundamental objective is that all government applications must be safe and secure as far as possible, because obviously this is a continuous, evolving area, and I think the other side is always a step ahead. But still, we need to work, and therefore, I think all everybody who is working in this area, there is enough scope to try and do more in the area of safety and security. As Dr. Sriram has said, I think now the new concept of using AI and ML, also how to integrate into cybersecurity, etc., is being, I think, lots of companies are coming up. And then, as I think one more observation, convenience. It's not convenient, but I would say state will be looking, particularly from government point of view, we would be looking at the payment systems, whether can it be done faster. For example, today they call T+2, whether it be done on maybe the same day or T+1, that kind of thing. I think if the those payment aggregators can innovate and come out, I am sure with the competition somebody will definitely come and launch, we will do on T+1, and perhaps somebody will come and say we'll do on the same day. So, and then as far as the safety is concerned, perhaps one more layer of authentication could be there, particularly based on the value of the transaction. Some kind of let's say something like using facial recognition, also to ensure that whether the same person is doing the transaction. Maybe something on the lines of video KYC, which RBI has now approved for opening of the accounts. Obviously, you need not do that for all transactions, but maybe above some value. In addition to the existing whatever checks, I think some kind of facial recognition might help. So I think these are my thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, we hope to see more in this direction, and very happy to see the progress that is being made, and that governments are adopting these across the board. I know of many things wherein there is one initiative, especially wherein for the collection of pension, we are able to see, which is their Jivan Praman, like those things have been also been implemented in the state of Telangana. So I'd like to move on to Sujatha Mohan and hear her views.
Sure. So, look, recently the Parliament announced, a number was given. This is slightly dated. It's about 2.9 lakh digital banking related cybersecurity issues are what they were saying. It was announced in the Parliament, and this has been actually growing, especially with the higher adoption of uh, digital payments. This cybersecurity related issues are growing, and it is multifarious. It is sometimes phishing, it is sometimes ransomware attacks, sometimes it is a DDoS attack, sometimes it is website hacking. It's a whole lot of issues that we, as people who run a large platforms, have to worry about. So broadly, if I think about how security needs to be controlled, there are three layers. I feel one is the device security itself, in the sense that is the device itself controlled and managed well? Has there been a jailbreak on that device? How do I make sure that some app is not actually reading what your transactions are happening, and so on and so forth? This is basically about how do you control and ensure that you have a consumer who is not going to get see, a lot of onus has come on the banks to protect their customers from getting into any kind of technology enabled fraudulent transactions. So even as banks, we are constantly innovating and thinking about all this. So when we look at this, we actually break it up into three parts. One is the device security, and then we get into application security. Can I have runtime application security protection models available? Can I ensure that somebody is not on the runtime able to figure out if there is uh, uh, any breakage or hacking happening, so that you are able to control what's going on? Can I ensure that somebody has not enabled a screen mirroring application, by virtue of it the password and all of that is getting shared? So this is one another layer of security. And the last layer of security then tends to be the transaction security, where you start looking at AIML kind of modeling, where you say that, okay, I see this customer, his profile is this is the amount of transactions he can do from this geolocation at this velocity. If it is changing, then quickly, halt, call, find out what the transaction is about, and then allow the transaction to happen. Or you see a card usage which is looking out of sync with the normal patterns. So a lot of AIML goes into security management, and there are innumerable, as the systems learn, it is becoming more and more possible for us to control the kind of transactions that can hit the bank by virtue of some of the cybersecurity thing. The fact of the matter is, it is a constant catch up game, right? But as we improve our skill sets, the hackers improve their skill sets, and hence it's a extremely vibrant and extremely how do you call that, it's a process that never stops. You have to constantly be on the vigil. There are newer and newer ways of actually defrauding, and the last thing which we really believe will actually bring a lot of value is actually educating customers. There are many customers today I see who willingly part with their PIN, part with their OTP, part with their passwords, not realizing that this is actually going to take away their entire life savings, in a way. So I think we can put all the features as it may, but I think the biggest thing that we want to focus on, and we believe we need to focus on, is actually customer education. The number of frauds we see where the customer has willingly landed up getting himself into this situation is also reasonably high. So I think these are the constructs. Apart from the fact that I think as we go along, biometric will play a very large role, because when you are talking security, it is always about what you have and what you know, which controls the two factor typically, and then the step up authentication to ensure that somebody does not violate the principles of the game, right? And in that, I think biometric will play a very, very big role. All of this is happening as we speak, and fact of the matter is, under the aegis of DPSC, which is a security control guideline, RBI has actually pretty much given a very clean guideline of what banks need to do to protect consumers. So it is a very important phase of building a robust payment economy, I think, and most banks are working actively to protect their consumers. That's what it is.
Thank you very much, Sujatha. Since we are out of time, I'd really like to go to Mr. Srinivasa Muppaneni and hear his comments very briefly, since we are over the time already. Yeah. I can't hear you.
He's on mute.
Hello, sir. We can't hear you.
Yeah. So I wish to take every few minutes of time, and it's only we have to take from the security from the three areas. One is the regulator, another is the service provider. It means banks or any other agency which is providing service to the customers, and the other is the consumer or the customer. So here, the customer education is one, and another thing is the banks are the service providers who are providing these services. Starting from the board of management to the lowest tier of the people, they should be aware of what is cybersecurity and what kind of preventive measures that we need to take. RBI has already initiated a lot of measures to educate the customers on the cybersecurity, and also has given a lot of guidelines to the organizations to how to maintain the cybersecurity. So here, major problem is, as Madam rightly mentioned, it is the banks and also the service providers should have the robust security system in their place. And as part of that, in Telangana State Cooperative Bank, we have established a cybersecurity operations center, first time in the country in the cooperative sector, to handle the complete cybersecurity operations, the monitoring and also the mechanism. So likewise, across the country, rural cooperative banks are coming out with the cybersecurity operations center to monitor these activities. And again, the customer education is also continuously we are providing that, and also to the board of management, Government of India and NABARD and setting NCBI, all these organizations have started educating the board of management also, because the responsibility of cybersecurity now lies on the board of management. So in these organizations have to see that they have to stick to the basics first on the security, like updating the antivirus and anti-malwares, and avoiding the public Wi-Fi networks, turning off the devices when not in use. Most of the time, the cyber crime, cyber threats are happening during the off hours. So these areas, as mentioned by Madam, the passwords and biometrics, these are the areas where we can improve upon, and we can improve these cybersecurity measures. So,
Thank you very much, sir. Really, we are over time now. Really, we must wrap up. It is a very good discussion. A lot of takeaways for the audience. Thank you all for this session.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.